I thought it'd be a great time to take some time to talk about how to mix pre-emergent in your lawns. So what you guys will notice today is I've got two backpack sprayers. I got one labeled warm and then one labeled cool. There's a reason for that. The reason is that I'm going to show you how to mix pre-emergent, prodiamine, for both cases. So if you got warm season grass like Bermuda, your zoysia, your St. Augustine, we're going to have you covered here. And then if you have cool season grass, your rye, your fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, the application rates for pre-emergent are a little bit different. So we are going to discuss that using this backpack sprayer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through it, and then we're going to have time for questions. Let me see who we have here. We got like Jim in the house. We got Mark F in the house. A few other people. Thanks for coming to hang out, guys. Yeah, so very, very cool. And let's get to it. So if you guys are here, definitely be sure to leave a like. That's always appreciated. And the important thing is, before we get into this, it's always important to talk about PPE. I've got, you see I've got one glove, I've got one here so I can use the laptop. But it's important to make sure you're wearing the right safety equipment. So what that means is you want to wear long pants, like you guys probably see I'm wearing jeans, long sleeve shirt, gloves, and then because we're going to be dealing with liquids, it's a good idea to wear eye protection as well. So now, the thing that we're going to be doing first is the cool season pre-emergent. The application rates between these guys are slightly different, which is why I want to do a special one just for the cool season people to make sure you guys are covered as well. So some of the things you're going to need, in addition to the PPE, the safety gear we've already covered, you're going to need a scale, which you can see here. I've got this in front. And for cool season guys, this is going to be your jam. This, and then a measuring cup. This is going to be what you need to get going. So let's get going and actually walk through doing that, getting this done. So I saw one point there from a question there from Mike CS. I can't actually see the screen right now, Mike, but I saw your question of why is a great time? Why is now a good time? Well, you know, for one, we are into September, and when it comes to pre-emergent, a little bit early is better than a little bit late. So for pre-emergent, when it comes to the cool season grass, the application rate is 0.18, or the one I like to use is 0.20 ounces or dry ounces mixed with 1 gallon of water, and that's going to cover 1,000 square feet. So what you'll notice here is that my backpack sprayer is halfway full with water. I've already got it halfway full, and that's really important when you're using this product because it tends to settle, and the idea is that you want to get it halfway full, get your intermediate mix going, and then finish filling the sprayer up, and then go out and spray the lawn. So let's get going with that. So first of all, I'm going to fire up my scale. I'm going to show you guys here real quick. Get my scale going, and I've got this set for ounces. You guys aren't going to be able to see that, but the idea is you want to get the scale set up, and then put this on, and then zero it. So hit tare, and now we're at 0. So for cool season grass, we're going under with the expectation that we're going to be covering 4,000 square feet. So we're going to take 0.20 and multiply that by 4 to get our application rate. So you see here I've got prodiamine, and that's what I'm going to be using. So right now we're at 0, and because it's dry weight, we're just going to, so I can get this right on camera, we'll see here, but you're just literally going to add material. So right now I'm at 0.70. It doesn't take a lot, and now we're at 0.75, and now almost there, and that's 0.8. A little bit heavy, 0.85, but that 0.8, that's what you're going to use for cool season grass. Now look at this, guys. That doesn't look like a whole lot, does it? Look at that. It's not very much. It doesn't take very much of this for your cool season lawn to get a great result. So the idea is with this, what we've got here now, 0.8 dry ounces of prodiamine. We would take that and then add that to the tank. Let's put my PPE on here. Open the tank up, and we'll put this in. And then the idea is now with this in here, we're going to give this a good shake to get it suspended. So as you can see, there's not very much in there. Close off the backpack sprayer, and then we're going to work on getting this suspended. Seal it, and then start giving it a good shake. So there's a couple ways of doing this. You can do the technique that I'm doing here. I'm just using just to shake it like this, or you can get a drill, a paint mixer, anything along those lines to get it suspended. And hopefully it's coming through on camera, but right now this mixture, at least from where I'm seeing, is turning yellow. This tank has got a lot of miles on it, so it might not show on camera for you guys, but in there we've got a nice yellow blend of prodiamine. So now what I would do is I would continue filling this all the way up, put the cap back on, and then give it another shake, and then you are good to go and spray your lawn. Now, when it comes to actually spraying prediamine, or spraying any pre-emergent for that matter, the proper spray tip is really important. So let me show you guys that. The tip that you'd want to use on a flow jet or on a flow zone or the or Yardmaster sprayer, really any backpack sprayer, is a spray tip like this. You'll see this is a flood jet tip. You see this guy is going to produce a larger droplet size, which is what you want for whenever you're applying pre-emergent. So a larger droplet size, make sure you get the correct tip, and that's what you're going to want to use whenever you are applying pre-emergent in your lawn. So I would swap that out on here, and then we'd go out and spray. Now I'm not going to finish filling this up on live now because I've got my electronics around here and I don't want to take a chance of getting everything wet, but ideally that's it in a nutshell. You would take, if you have a cool season lawn, you would literally finish filling this up with water, give it a good shake, make sure you keep it nice and suspended, and then go out and spray the lawn. This will cover 4,000 square feet. When this is completely filled, that 0.8 dry ounces of the water dispersible granule of prediamine mixed with 4 gallons of water is going to cover 4,000 square feet. And if you guys are interested in links for any of this stuff, there's going to be links in the description to everything that you guys see I'm using here. So everything from the safety glasses to the measuring cup to prediamine, it's all going to be there. All right. So for cool season guys, you are good to go. So let me see if there's any questions here before we move on to warm season. And you see, Mike CS says, why is today a great time? A bunch of YouTubers just posted videos on the same topic. And yeah, so now's a good time, again, this time of year, because really when it comes to pre-emergent, and it's kind of in the name, guys, a little bit early is better than late. You don't want to be late on pre-emergent. You know, get it down early so you can prevent weeds like poa annua, crabgrass, clover, just a lot of the problem weeds in your lawn. Getting it down early is better than getting it down late. So now that covers us pretty much for the cool season, guys. For warm season, our application rates are going to be a little bit heavier. So the rate on prediamine for warm season grass like your St. Augustine, Bermuda, zoysia, again, it varies, so make sure you consult the label. For Bermuda grass, which we're going to cover today, the max rate is 0.83 dry ounces annually, all right? But we're not going to mix at that rate today because we're going to mix at half that because we're going to be building basically the concoction that I used last year on the lawn. It's all put together in a product called Coastal. So we're going to be using, again, our same old friend, prediamine, right? This is going to be our pre-emergent. But then, along with this, we're going to use Image, which is imazaquin, and then we're also going to add some simazine, also known as another brand name, Princep. So these three are going to go together in this tank, which is going to cover our warm season lawns. Now, the question you might be asking yourself is, why would you want to do that? Why go through all the trouble of not just using prediamine, and why add all this other stuff? Well, one of the weeds that we have a ton of problems with in the Southeast United States is poa annua. And while prediamine is a great pre-emergent, it's very good at preventing, you know, again, crabgrass and even preventing poa to a large extent, helping it out with a little bit of post-emergent, meaning adding a little bit of Image, a little bit of simazine, a little bit of Princep to the tank. These are both post-emergent herbicides, meaning that if I apply this, if you're watching this, you know, a few weeks from now, a month from now, having some post-emergent herbicide in the tank along with your pre-emergent is going to knock back and get rid of the poa that may have already germinated. Because remember, prediamine doesn't really have any reach back as far as killing weeds that have already germinated. All right, so now as far as the application rates we're going to use today for the warm season blend, for prediamine, we're going to be applying that at half rate, so 0.4 dry ounces mixed with a gallon of water is going to cover 1,000 square feet. For Image, we're going to be using a rate of 2 ounces, so 2 fluid ounces of Image. And then for the Princep, we're going to be applying that at a rate of 0.75 ounces with a gallon of water over 1,000 square feet. So we're going to multiply all those by 4. And if you figure that we take our prediamine, 4 times 4 is going to be 1.6 dry ounces. For our Princep, so 0.75 times 4 is going to end up being 3 fluid ounces. And then finally, for our Image, we're going to take 2 times 4, so 2 ounces times 4, and that's going to be 8 ounces. So let's actually do that now. Let's head over there and work on getting our warm season blend done. So again, we're going to fire up our scale again like always. Scale, I can actually turn it on and zero it this way. So we get that all fired up, zeroed out, which is good. So now we're going to take, what did I say, 1.6 ounces, right? 1.6 dry ounces. So we're going to watch our scale ever so carefully as we add the water dispersible granules to the measuring cup. So right there we are at 0.85, 0.95, 1 ounce, 1.1, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. We're almost there, guys, almost there. And 1.6, perfect. All right, so we got 1.6 ounces. This is the half rate for prodiamine. This represents half of your annual limit for warm season grass. So we're gonna take this, get our Yard Mastery sprayer opened up, and we're gonna add that to the tank. This guy, much like the cool season, is already halfway full with water. Not sure if it's coming through on camera, but I've already filled this already halfway full with water. You wanna do that as part of your, when you're mixing any kind of products, not just herbicides, not just pre-emergent. You wanna make sure that you're filling your tank halfway full with water before you add any products. So we'll go ahead and add that now. So there's our prodiamine, it's in there. And now we'll do image. So this guy, remember, we're going to be applying this at 2 ounces per 1,000 square feet, so times 4, which is what this guy will take, cover 4,000 square feet. We're going to be ending up putting in 8 fluid ounces of this in our measuring cup. So I'm going to put that down a nice level surface. Actually, we'll give it a good shake here first. Make sure we're good to go. Open this up. And then very, very carefully, we will try to put this where you guys can actually see it. You're not going to be able to, but where I can see it too. We're going to spray, we're going to put 8 ounces right there. Nice. Almost like I've done that before. Right at 8 ounces. We're going to add that to our tank, like so. And then finally, we're going to take Princep, right, which is our simazine. The active ingredient in this product in Princep is simazine. And we're going to do 3 ounces of that. Now that's going to be fun to get to with such a large jug, but I will do my best here. So 3 ounces, I can see that on my measuring cup. And I'm going to very carefully pour this and watch as it goes in. And now we are at 3. There we go. Nice. Spilled 1 drop, but I'm okay. So there you go. 3 fluid ounces, which is again our 0.75 rate times 4. We're going to add that to the tank. Now, ideally, guys, what you would do as well is if you had a hose out here, if you're doing this, when you're doing this, for yourself, is you would get a hose and you would rinse all the contents of this into the tank. Again, I got a bunch of electronics around here, so I'm not going to run any water, but you would rinse this out and then add this, make sure that all this washes out into the tank. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our cap back on, make sure this is on nice and good. And much like our cool season blend, we're going to give it a good shake. So take this off the table. And again, there's a couple ways of doing this. You can get a mixture if you wanted to go that route, but really we're just going to give this a good blend, good shake. So now this is our concoction for warm season grass that is going to both prevent weeds and is going to take care of some weeds that are already growing in our lawn. So really, really cool stuff. So let's head back around here and switch back. All right. So this is, again, this combination, if you guys just happen to join, if you join the live stream late, the one I just showed where I mixed prodiamine, simazine, and image in this backpack sprayer, this is for warm season grass only. You can see here, I've got it labeled warm. This guy that only has the prodiamine in it, this is for cool season grass, hence why it's labeled cool. So for cool season grass, all you're gonna wanna use is just prodiamine. For warm season grass, you can do prodiamine along with a bit of post-emergent as well. Again, the important thing that you're not going to be able to see me demonstrate, but it's also very important to getting a good result, is to ensure that you're using the proper spray tip. Make sure you're using a flood jet spray tip. Again, there'll be links in the description for all this stuff in the description of this live stream video, and that's going to ensure that you get a great result. All right, so let's see who we have in the chat now. Now that I've finished up doing that, took my gloves off, I can take a few questions here and see what everyone is up to. So we got Mark F. or Jim Carson from California in the house. He's like, he's like, hello from California, 110 degrees this week. Wow, that's hot. It's really warm. It's really warm, Jim. Thanks for coming to hang out, sir. Appreciate you. And then we have Mark F. Same thing. Sunny Phoenix. Gregory Harris, what up? Jim Carson says, almost like waiting for Artemis. I don't know about that, but thank you for the kind words. I really do appreciate it. And Jim Carson, it's always sunny in Phoenix. I'll be going twice this year. Yeah, I hear you. I'm done with chemicals. I can get a drink here. I got VMH saying, happy Saturday, Ron. What's going on, VMH? For you doing well, sir. And then Mike CS says, why is today a great time? A bunch of YouTubers just posted videos on the same topic, and I saw a company spraying the yards across the street. So the reason why now is a good time, I've already covered this in the live stream last night, and as well we're going to talk about it, is when it comes to pre-emergent, it's really in the name, right? You want to get it done early, Mark, or Mike CS, versus late. If you wait until the weeds have already germinated, especially if you have cool season grass, you're going to be breaking out stuff like tenacity or other post-emergents to be able to take care of it after the fact. So if you want to keep weeds out of your lawn, especially if you got a cool season lawn, you want to get it done a little bit earlier. Now, here's one caveat, and we didn't discuss this earlier, is that if you're planning an overseeding project, meaning if you're going to overseed your ryegrass lawn or your Kentucky bluegrass lawn, then you really don't want to use you don't want to use prodiamine. I mean, you can still use a herbicide that will prevent some germination for a while, a product called tenacity. But as far as using a full-fledged pre-emergent like prodiamine, you don't want to use this if your goal is to overseed your lawn this fall. So that's the only thing you want to keep in mind, if you're dealing with this in a cool season lawn. But again, earlier is better because this is not like dithiopyr or some of the other pre-emergents that have the ability to kill young weeds. Prodiamine is strictly a pre-emergent. So if you don't get this stuff down prior to the weeds emerging, you're going to be fighting them after the fact with post-emergent herbicide. So that's why now is a great time to do it, Mike. And I guess a lot of other YouTubers had the same idea. It's not a bad plan. All right, next up we got Lowell Mangle saying, hey Ron, it's Huntsville, Alabama here. What's going on? Huntsville in the house. Thanks for coming to hang out, sir. And then next up we got VMH saying, Ron, instead of prodiamine cocktail, could I use Dimension 2EW instead? You probably could. I've never actually tested mixing Image and Simazine along with Dimension. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but test it. So the way you're going to do that, VMH, is get a jar, and I think prodiamine will often, one of these labels will have the procedures for doing a jar test. But the idea is you're going to use a small amount of each product in a jar, mix it up, and then let it sit for a while, make sure that there's no weird interactions, like it doesn't start gelling or doing anything crazy that's going to prevent you from getting a good result when you actually spray it on your lawn. I don't think you're going to have a problem, but I've never actually tested it myself to be able to tell you for sure that you wouldn't. I don't see why it would be an issue, but again, test it first before you go out and mix up, again, 4 gallons of product that you might not be able to use if there's a problem. All right. Mike CS is up next with a question. He says, how does prodiamine affect grass seed germination? What if I were to overseed or fill in some bare spots? Yeah, so if you're going to do that, Mike, really tenacity would be a better product for your purposes. If you're trying to get rid of weeds that are existing in your lawn, tenacity will do a good job of that. And it does have the ability in good circumstances to prevent germination for 3 weeks or so. So if you want to kill weeds and then have like a 3-week buffer before you do your seeding, tenacity is a better choice. You would not want to use prodiamine because this is going to work for 4 months or so, and that's going to be way past your ideal time for seeding your lawn. So stay away from prodiamine if you're planning to overseed your lawn. It's going to negatively affect germination. It's going to negatively affect it. You'd be working against yourself, in other words, if you applied prodiamine and then turned around a week later and decided to try and seed your lawn. Jim Carson says, is it good for California? Yeah, you should. I believe you can use prodiamine in California. I believe it's labeled for use in every state. Check me on that, check the label on that, but I'm fairly certain you can use prodiamine pretty much anywhere. But you know what, Jim, now that I say that, if there's one state you can't use it in, it probably would be California. But I don't believe that's the case. Next up, we got Ed Mora. He's saying, good afternoon, Ron. I have a weed that's invading my lawn. I live in Northern California. The weed goes over my lawn with long runners. It's spreading fast. It looks like crabgrass. Without a picture, it's tough to say, Ed. I mean, it sounds kind of Bermuda, to be honest. I'm trying to think what else could it be that has runners and looks like crabgrass. It could be, Dallas grass doesn't really have, Dallas grass doesn't really have runners like Bermuda does. I don't know. I'm not sure. Without pictures, I can't really help you out on that one. Ed, send me a picture to ron@golfcourselawn.com to right here, and I'll do my best to help you out. So shoot me an email with a picture of whatever weed you're dealing with, and I will take a look at it after the live stream and get an answer for you, sir. So I appreciate you. Sorry you're dealing with that. It's never fun, but we can get to the bottom of it. And let's see, Jim Carson says, hey Ed, does it have a taproot and about 8 runners and little yellow flowers? I don't know, it looks like Jim might be onto something. All right, next up we got Corey. He says, I'm ready for my lesson, for the lesson teach. Hopefully it was useful. Corey, the idea was to take the first part of this and just make it into a video showing how to do it live and give you guys the opportunity to ask questions. So hopefully it was helpful for that. Chris Dada says, in Georgia, you should say in the great state of Georgia, Chris, but I'll add it on for you. In the great state, is now a good time for prodiamine, or should I wait for it to get cooler? I would get it. I mean, you can do it this weekend if you want, but I would get it done in the next few weeks. Earlier is better than later. All the services that say this stuff for a living, like they do it in the spring, fall, they do the fertilizer applications. Neighborhood spraying. Take that for what you will. It's really your call whether or not you want to get it down or wait. I would err on the side of being a bit early. But that's all right. Next up is Jim Carson. He says, can you use tenacity when it's still hot out? I will be doing an overseeding of a cool season lawn. Check the label. I'm not sure if what the temperature restrictions are for tenacity, if any, but the label will tell you that. I don't know. Again, cool season herbicides, I don't know off the top of my head like I do warm season herbicides. I just work with these a lot more than cool season ones. But check the label. If there are any temperature restrictions for tenacity, you will see them there. It will be covered. It'll be covered there. I'm not sure that there are though. I don't remember seeing any, but again, check the label. Tim Jackson says, I'm late. If pre-emergent needs to be watered in and needs to sit on the blade, how do you do that, or is it systemic? That's an excellent question, Tim. So not all post-emergent herbicides need to sit on the foliar or on the leaf to be able to work. These guys can need to be watered in, so they can be taken up from the root. Actually, and if you did Celsius or like say Certainty or again a that is designed for foliar uptake, then yes, in that case you would not want to necessarily apply it along with prodiamine. You can, but what you would do is just wait. So let's say, for example, we're dealing with a bunch of sedges, right? And you had prodiamine and you wanted to use Certainty. What you could do is you could put Certainty in the tank with this. I've done it. You can mix Certainty and prodiamine, but what I would not do is don't use it and wait till the following day to water this in. So it's going to give the Certainty enough time to be able to get on the leaf and dry and be taken up by the sedge, and the following day that you're going to put prodiamine in. So it is a bit of a compromise. Some people are fine with using surfactant along with when they're mixing post-emergent herbicides that need foliar uptake with prodiamine. I prefer not to do that because here's why. Here's my reasoning behind why I would omit the later do a notation of Certainty if you need to. You shouldn't, but if you need to, you can always come back and do that, because as far as timing, it's not nearly as sensitive as prodiamine is. Meaning, if there's out of the two, the one you really want to get right is the pre-emergent. Whereas the post-emergent, you can always come back and spray another application later if need be. So that's my reasoning why I like to omit surfactant whenever I'm mixing a post-emergent herbicide that requires foliar uptake along with my pre-emergent. So I hope that helps. But these guys both can be watered in, so you're no issues there at all. Here he said, can you do emergent and sedge hammer in the same day? You can, but the kind of what I was just saying to Tim's is that if you are using any kind of post-emergent herbicide that is for fall uptake, what I would do is, again, because our main goal is to get our pre-emergent to work effect. So any herbicides you're putting in the tank, that's really just a bonus. So I would put if you want to put your sedge hammer in, that's fine. But me personally, I tend to omit surfactant whenever I do that, and I'll spray it. And if sometimes that's enough, and you can still knock out the weeds or the sedges that you're targeting. And then again, worst case, you can always come back a couple of weeks later with another application of sedge hammer or Certainty, whatever you happen to be using, and knock it out, right? So just again, of the two, I lean making sure that the pre-emergent I get a better result with that than I do the post-emergent, because I can always reapply the post-emergent. Great question. All right, Tim Jackson is up next. He says, how long to wait? I think I can. Nope, I'll have to fix this later on. All right, he says, how long to wait before putting prodiamine on new Arden 15? I asked because I overseeded. Common creeped into the 419. Is there a 3-way combo to blend? LOL. Okay, so the question is how long to wait before applying it to Arden 15? I would wait for it to get established. So I've applied pre-emergent to Bermuda grass as early as 3 months after it being applied. I mean, Bermuda is really, really resilient. So whereas I would not do that, or would not recommend doing that with cool season grass, with Bermuda, you definitely can get away with it. So if you did your Arden 15 establishment in, say, May timeframe, then yeah, I would absolutely be using pre-emergent this fall. As far as getting rid of the common in the 419, I'm sorry, man, there's not. Again, if you figure out that, you become really, really rich, because there's a lot of people that have that problem. To my knowledge, there's not a way to selectively remove common Bermuda out of hybrid Bermuda and vice versa. So I don't have it on now. Okay, next up we got House. Get him on the stream. He says, hey, he says, great job, Ron. September 12th is when I put down my pre-emergent. I do have all 3 of those products. Thanks for sharing. Good job, Daryl. You're gonna really like the results you get with it. Keep me posted if I can help with anything else. And then Mike CS is up here really quick with another question. He says, when I dethatched, I discovered I had what appeared to be bent grass in patches sporadically spread throughout my lawn. Pulling them up left brown spots until it grew back. Google says NIM will. Okay. Thanks for that, Mike. I'm not sure if there's a question there, but I appreciate you sharing. I don't want bleached white grass. I'm just thinking I'll tackle it next year when I do my renovation. That's a good plan too. Yeah, that's the one thing which it actually gets a bad rap about that it doesn't work and creates problems, but it actually is a good herb. It's just, you got to be careful. You have to read the label, because the label does tell you to really spot, because it's going to temporarily bleach the grass around the weed that happens to get hit with it. So it's kind of a negative, but it does work. It does work. All right, next up we got VMH. He says, Ron, as for the spray tip, I compare the Turbo Flood Jet and the Turbo T-Jet induction. The Flood Jet has a large droplet spray, pressure up to 30 psi, and I lose that large droplet at higher pressure. Huh. Something to keep in mind, VMH, is tips. If you go to T-Jet's website, they will have like a for this particular tip, what pressure is designed to operate at. For these sprayers, do not run on much settings too. The low pressure setting is going to work fine. You're going to get good coverage with that, and it's going to produce the product, the leaf, and into the soil where it can work. So just check the again the label. They have a graph on their website that will explain what pressures to use. And VMH says the Turbo T-Jet induction has large droplet size for pressure up to 60 or a little higher. Nice. So again, kind of like what I just said, if you look at that matrix, that graph, it will tell you what pressures a given spray tip is designed to operate at, so you get the correct flow and everything that they guarantee. So good stuff. All right, and then Mike CS says, I sent photos. What do you think it is? Look at the after the mic. I'm on my laptop, so I don't really have the ability to pull those up right now, unfortunately. So I'll take a look and I'll get you an answer later on. So good stuff. There's no other question. We got one here from Lowell Mangle. He says, also, can I add fertilizer too? Should I wait a little to apply? Yeah, so you can do your fertilizer, I guess if you're talking about liquid fertilizer. If you want to add a liquid fertilizer along with your pre-emergent, I guess you could. I mean, I don't think I've ever done that. I've done biostimulants with it. I've done like release 0 along with pre-emergent, and that works fine. So I guess if you're using a liquid program, Lowell, and you want to get that down at the same time as you're doing your pre-emergent, sure. I don't see any reason why that would not work. As far as using a granular, my rule is this when it comes to mixing a fertilizer application and a application, is I want to get the fertilizer done first and then do any of the sides, fungicide, insecticide, herbicides, do them all last. The reason being is you don't want to go out and spray your entire line with herb and then have to run all through it as you're applying fertilizer. So just even though the stuff, if you're keep it off and that kind of thing. So if it were me, I would do the fertilizer first and your herbicides after the fact. Your fertilizer after the fact. All right, last up we got here is 864 Tahoe. He says, great content, Ron. I'm procrastinating on messing with the Dallas grass in my Bermuda. Yeah, the best bet for getting rid of the Dallas grass, unfortunately, is going to be just to dig it out. There's not really a post-emergent herbicide that's labeled for residential use, meaning that you should be spraying on residential lawns, that you can use to eliminate Dallas grass. Your best bet is toss. So hope that helps, sir. Hope that helps. And I think that's it, guys. Any other questions, any other concerns? So really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your Saturday to see the content. If you find it useful, definitely share it with others. There's going to be a link in the description and we can stuff up. Feel free to do that if you need any video. So much, truly do appreciate it. I will see you guys next time. Have an amazing weekend.